Now the next way to actually cut a cake in half would be, or in more than half, would be a cake leveler, which is something like this. There are some different ones out there on the market. But this is pretty cool. What you do is, if I want to cut this cake into 3 layers of cake, I could do that, or I could cut it just into 2 layers like it is right now. What you do is you just push down on one side and you move this wire to wherever you want it to go as far as the height. And then you do the same thing on the other side. So this one's at 1, 2 on the 3rd one, and I've just moved that to the 4th, so let me move back to the 3rd, and then it's nice and level. What you do with this is you do a sawing motion as you go through the cake here. You come through, come through, come through, and when you get to the back, if I were just to pull through, what happens is usually part of this cake actually comes off. So I put my hand very gently here, and I just keep it there, and that keeps the cake on there, and then you just very gently and slowly saw the rest of the way through, and then it doesn't pull your cake off. You can also go most of the way, take it out, and then come over at the side, but I find it easier and quicker just to go all the way through, keep your hand there, and just pull through. So that's the second way of cutting your cake in half, and we call that torting your cake, is actually cutting your cake in half. Now the last way, a lot of people like this, so I like to show you the different ways. It's not on the top of my list of ways to cut your cake in half, but this is actually fishing line. What you would do is you would wrap the fishing line around your cake, like so, and then cross it over in the front, like this, and then you would actually you would pull. Now I don't want to make another hole in my cake here, but you would pull opposite directions, and it would actually cut through your cake in the middle, like so. Now sometimes, you know, the fishing wire is a little hard to hold on to. I mean, you can wrap it around your fingers like this and then pull. A lot of people really love it, but I'm not a big fan of that, but you know, I like to show you what's out there. Then you can decide for yourself which way you want to do things, and then you'll go back to my way. No, just kidding. All right, so after we do that, then we're going to be ready to fill the cake. Okay, and here we are back. I've got my cake on a turntable, so it's easier to fill. I'm going to go ahead and remove the top. Now this is a very small cake, and I can lift this up with no problem. But if it's a larger cake, quarter sheet, or even a larger round, what you want to do is take an extra cake board, slide it in between like this, and then lift it off and put it over to the side until your cake is filled. Next thing I want to do is I want to put a dam around my cake, the edge of the cake, so that I can put the filling in, and so the filling doesn't ooze out and into the icing. Now before I do that, if you were wanting to do any kind of a water bath or any kind of any kind of a wash on here, you would do it before you do the dam of the cake. And what I mean is like a simple syrup, which would be like water and sugar, sometimes with lemon that's boiled, and you would just have it in a container on the side and use a brush and brush it on. Some people also like to have a liqueur on their cake, so you would just put some of that in a container and also just let it soak into the cake. Then the next step would be doing the dam around the cake. Now for the dam, this is buttercream icing, but you want the buttercream icing to be extremely stiff so that the cake doesn't settle. If it's too soft, what can happen is once your other cake goes on top and you push down and ice it and everything, you may have some settling that happens. So if you ever have your cake and it looks beautiful the first day, and then the next day it has this little lovely little ring around it, that could be that your dam is too soft. So what you want to do is just take extra powdered sugar and mix it into your buttercream, and then just label that as, you know, your buttercream for the dam around your cake, and keep it separate so that so you don't use it, you know, to try to ice the cake. If you try to ice the cake with the stiff buttercream, you're just going to tear your cake up. So for this, I have a coupler, and this coupler doesn't have any of the little cutout areas. These are the couplers I prefer to use because I can use them as a tip also. So what you want to do is have your bag right here at about a 45-degree angle. You want to squeeze, and I don't do it right on the edge, I do it in just slightly. And you just want to squeeze and just slowly turn your turntable. We want to go all the way around, like so. All right, now we're ready to place some filling in there. So you can use your favorite filling. I've got Cape Cottage Swirl and Frost Chocolate, which is always a popular one. And I'm just going to take this, and I always make sure that I stir it up really well. And then I'm just going to take it and place it inside the cake, like so. And then spread it out, making sure that you don't go over the dam. See how it's great to have a turntable like this so that you just makes life easier. Something like that. Wipe that off. Turn this, and now I'm ready to place the cake on top. So what I'm going to do is take this, and I'm actually going to slide it over like so. Place that down, and then I actually just push down a little bit like so. Now you can see how some of the icing is coming out around the edge. Then what you do is you take I usually like the plastic scrapers like this, and what I'll do is I'll take it and I'll just take some of this, and even what I'll do is if there's any little gaps, I'll take the excess icing and I'll actually go ahead and fill in any other little areas. Now I also like to fill in the bottom of the cake. See how where there's a little bit of gap down at the bottom here? And there's a little bit of a hole in the cake right there. So what I'll do is take some extra icing. Now for this icing, I'll usually use the softer icing because it's too stiff for the cake. So here's some of the regular icing here. I put it on the scraper, and then I'll go ahead and put it inside that little area. See, so I use my scraper that way, and then I pull this way because I want it to go right up to the edge, right down to the base, I guess I should say, down to the base of the cake board. So I'm going to need a little more there. See how there's a gap right there? I want to fill that in also. So basically, I don't really crumb coat my cakes. This is what I do instead of crumb coating. Crumb coating is when you actually put a thin layer all over the entire cake. And then I would just go ahead and leave it like this. I would go ahead and refrigerate it now. And a lot of times I would even keep my paper on the top while I do this. And then when I refrigerate it, the sides are sealed with the buttercream, the top is sealed with the parchment. And then I just let it settle for a while, and then I'll go ahead and ice it.